Today, I give you my official 2016 NBA draft board, and I'll tell you why I believe Marquese Kris is one of the most overrated prospects in this 2016 NBA draft. You're watching James Carter TV.
Yeah, looking like a trouble when I walked in the building. That mean I got something expensive. Know my friends, they killing. All these hoes I'm killing.
Hello and welcome to James Carter TV. It's time for me to release my 2016 NBA Draft Big Board. Now I have 26 players on this big board right now. That is literally because these are the amount of players that I've done enough research on for me to be confident enough to give them a grade. But what I'm going to do is either tomorrow or Thursday when I upload my final mock draft video, in the description box of that video, I will have my official dead set big board. I mean, these numbers right here, these prospect grades I've given, they're dead set. But I still have to do some players like Ante Zizic and Juan Hernan Gomez and Tyler Ulis. I'm not quite confident on a grade yet. So some more players, but 26 players here. There's a lot of players to get into. I have 7 scouting reports up on Ben Simmons, Brandon Ingram, Kris Dunn, Dragan, Bender, Jaylen Brown, Jamal Murray, and Hield. So if you want to know more about those prospects specifically, I suggest you to go to my channel. You can watch those whole scouting reports. They're all at least 10 minutes long. I go in depth on those players. But today, I'm going to give you a quick rundown as to why I gave them the grade that I did, what I think about their potential in the NBA. Hopefully this video isn't too long, but it probably will be. So all of these, my big board is in the description box below. So go look at it, all the grades down there below, and also the grading scale as well. And I've also fine-tuned my grading scale quite a bit because I had a range of 50 to 59 reserved for bench warmers. But then as I was thinking about it, why do I need that big of a range for bench warmers? Because there's not that many bench warmers in the NBA, and you're pretty close to being out of the NBA if you are a bench warmer. So I shortened that range and also defined things a little bit better. My 65 to 69 range was defined for key role players. I took out the key, just role players, and you'll understand that when I get into this video. So number 1. It's Brandon Ingram. I just trust that he's going to be a better player than Ben Simmons. I trust him more. Ben Simmons has all the talent in the world, but saying that he's going to create a jump shot, from what I saw when I went downtown to Nashville, Tennessee, and I watched him in the SEC tournament, right now his shot is awful, and he needs a lot of work, and Brandon Ingram needs less work right now. Ben Simmons has elite ability in terms of finishing at the rim, and you'll be able to see a lot of that at the next level, and I think he's going to be really good. I think he's going to be great even. I have him as a perennial all-star player, a guy that's going to be in the all-star game every year, probably finish with probably 8 to 10 all-star appearances in his career. But I like Brandon Ingram just a little bit more because I believe and I trust in him more. So Brandon Ingram with a 93, Ben Simmons with a 92. Then you have Kris Dunn at 3rd on my big board. Big Kris Dunn fan. I think he's going to have a Damian Lillard-esque career. A guy 4-year started coming out of college, improved every year in college, goes to the NBA, pro ready. I think he's a better defender than Damian Lillard. Not quite the score mentality, but also that's good because he's a better passer than Damian Lillard. So I expect Kris Dunn to really shake up this league and be an occasional all-star at the next level. 4th, you have Hield, big time shot maker. You're hearing the reports. He made 85 threes out of 100 during the Boston Celtics workout. I love hearing that, and you saw it on film. I mean, the guy shot 45% from 3, and he shot voluminously. I mean, this guy was shooting and shooting and shooting, and he wasn't missing. And everyone knew you have to guard this guy, and they couldn't stop this guy. But he has limited upside in terms of driving ability and defense, so that's why he's only an 82. And Jamal Murray, an 81. Again, this is the 85 to 80 range. We're talking about guys that are above average starters and a chance at an all-star or 2. And I think Jamal Murray is below Hield, though, in that aspect, because I think Hield is just a better shooter right now. Yes, Jamal Murray is younger, but I don't really buy into that. If you're really good at your age, I'm fine with that. And Hield has been improving every year in college. So who's going to say that that improvement's going to stop? I mean, he just started playing basketball only 6 years ago. He's a kid from the Bahamas. So I still like the upside of Hield compared to Jamal Murray. I don't think that's a big problem. So I have Hield over Jamal Murray, but Jamal Murray, a three-point shooting specialist at the next level, can drive a little bit, have some crafty finishes, but I'm afraid he just won't be able to be your best player, your second best player, maybe even your third if you want to win a championship, that is. Next, we have number 6. And I talked about the 7 guys that I made scouting reports for, and they were ranked 1 through 7 specifically. But there's a guy that snuck up there, and his name is, and I have to pronounce this correctly, it's not going to be easy, but Jakob Poeltl. I think I pronounced it correctly. Man, it's going to get annoying having to pronounce that. I'm sorry, dude. Your last name is difficult, man. I tried to listen to him. He himself pronounced it in a video on YouTube. He said, Poeltl. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, but anyway, this guy can play. And I think we're talking about a guy that is underrated in this class. I think he's a skilled big man. He's big. He has post moves. He can score. He can rebound. And he can defend a little bit. He was really efficient in college, a field goal percentage over 64% in his 2 years at Utah. I love that number. Yeah, he doesn't have a three-pointer, and yes, he's not a great rim protector, but he's a damn good one. I think we have an above-average center coming into this league that people are sleeping on. I really like Jakob Poeltl, and he sits at number 6 on my big board, a grade of 80. Hopping over Dragan Bender, who is now number 7 on my big board. I dropped him down 1 point. Saw some more film from Maccabi Tel Aviv. Liked him just a little bit less, but I still think he's going to be a starter at the next level. I just question how much he's ever going to give you. I think my 5-year projection was 15 points and something like that. You know, maybe 7 rebounds, a good amount of assists. Probably more thinking 14 right now. We move on. Number 8 is shooting guard / small forward Jaylen Brown out of California. The upside is the thing with him. Do you believe in his upside? If you do, you can have him higher than this. If you don't, you can have him lower than this. I'm even. I think he'll be a good player, but I'm not sure he's ever going to be a great one. He's ever going to live up to his athletic potential. So he's only sitting at number 8 with a 78. We have number 9, a sleeper of mine, Demetrius Jackson out of Notre Dame. This guy can ball. Yes, he's only 6'1", but man, this guy's strong and tough. 195 pounds. This guy has a great frame for a point guard, an NBA-ready body. Hell, he has an NFL-ready body. I think you could throw him out at wide receiver in the NFL right now, and he would be giving a lot of these guys troubles in the NFL, maybe even at running back. I mean, this guy has a nice frame and build to him, has some nice moves, and this guy knows how to finish at the rim. Despite his length, he knows how to finish at the rim, and I like point guards that have that ability because that ability translates to the next level. His shooting ability is also decent as well, and I trust him, man. I think he's a blue-collar guy, a guy that's going to work hard, a guy that's a really big sleeper. You're looking at Memphis possibly taking him at number 17. I think they'd have their point guard for years to come if they take Demetrius Jackson. Number 10, we have Demontis Sabonis out of Gonzaga. I really like this guy. He's skilled offensively, efficient offensively, good rebounder. You know, for me, and this is the distinction you have to make because there's a bunch of big guys. You have Jakob Poeltl and Demontis Sabonis, these big skilled guys, and also Henry Ellenson a little bit. Then you have the athletic guys, the freaks that you just have to project, like a Deyonta Davis or Marquese Kris. I like the skilled guys, man. I like them to translate. I'm not big on upside in terms of athletically at the power forward and center position. I think skill wins more at the power forward and center position than just big, strong athleticism and highlight plays. I think skill is what wins you in the NBA at those positions. I think that's why so many big guys come in the NBA and fail because they don't have those skills. Guys like Greg Oden, guys like Michael Olowokandi, guys like Kwame Brown, they try to rely on their athleticism and it doesn't work out. I don't like athletic bigs. I need to see skill from you. I see it from Demontis Sabonis. He reminds me a lot of Pau Gasol. I think he's going to come into the league and be an average starter, but someone's going to be happy that they got a starting power forward. Probably in the 15 range, because that's probably where he's going to go. I think it's a little bit of a shame as well. Number 11, I have Deyonta Davis out of Michigan State. not great offensively. Never going to fill the point stat sheet. I don't think he's ever going to average more than 11 or 12 in the NBA, but he's going to give you rebounds and he's going to give you rim protection, man. 3.9 blocks per 40 minutes. Love that number. Love his rebounding numbers as well. You're getting rebounds, you're getting blocks. Reminds me a lot of Miles Turner, who came out last year for Indiana, ended up being a starter, ended up being a really good starter for them. By year's end, I think Deonta Davis is probably worse of a shooter, though, than Miles Turner. But I like that kind of projection for him. So look out for Deonta Davis. We move on to 12, Malik Beasley. That's right, another sleeper of mine that I have higher than almost everyone has him. I think he's really skilled. He can drive, he's fast, he's athletic, he can hit the three-point ball very efficiently. I think he carried that Florida State team to as far as they went, which really wasn't very far, but still pretty far for their standards. I think he can ball. I like his mentality. I like his toughness. I like his interviews. I really like Malik Beasley being a low-end starter or a high-end sixth man in the NBA. Huge role-playing ability does Malik Beasley have out of Florida State. I give him a 73. Again, all these grades are in the description box below. We move on to number 14, small forward Taurean Prince out of Baylor. Big time competitor, big time a guy that can hit the three. It struggles a little bit from time to time, but a little bit streaky, but I think he does it all. I think he rebounds for you. I think he's a pretty good passer, although he can get into a little bit of a gunner mentality, but in terms of a guy that's going to go out there and compete and learn, do what the coach wants him to do, and provide some energy for a team, be a little bit of an energy shot. I love that ability. I love the upside here in terms of role player ability and even being a low-end starter for you at small forward. I gave him a 71. I skipped over my number 13 ranked prospect. Taurean Prince was number 14. My number 13 guy, Wade Baldwin out of Vanderbilt. My fellow compadre at Vanderbilt. I never even talked to him. Although one time, funny story real quick, apparently he tried to get into one of the fraternity parties and he was denied. They didn't know who he was, and that fraternity was killed for that. Anyway, Wade Baldwin, all right, lengthy guy, right? Guy has really long arms, so he can actually offer a lot defensively, can defend multiple positions, point guard, shooting guard, small forward, the occasional small power forward, even that, really long arms. Not very explosive offensively. His passing ability is pretty good, although he can be a little bit turnover prone. So I like him as a low-end starter at point guard, possible role player ability there. He's a good shooter. A little bit streaky, but he shot over 42%, so I'm not going to kill him for that. If you're shooting over 42%, you're shooting over 42%. I really like the role player ability here. I have him over Taurean Prince. I just read a little too quickly. Now we move on, and then now we talk about number 15, Marquese Kris. Now, I don't love him, guys. I really don't. Now, you like the upside, right? You see Amari Stoudemire. That's what everyone thinks they're seeing, all right? High leaping ability, but he can't rebound. He doesn't have any feel for the game right now. The guy has way more turnovers than assists right now. The guy fouls way too much right now. You have to teach him way too much. He just doesn't have a good feel for the game. I think you're looking at an energy guy that you can throw lobs up to. He's more of a football player than a basketball player to me because he's great at catching lobs, dunking them down. He's great at running down the court, being a little agile. He can cover some positions. It reminds me a little bit of Tristan Thompson if Tristan Thompson was a bad defensive rebounder. Because Marquese Kris can actually get some offensive rebounds, but for some reason on the defensive side of things, he just doesn't care, doesn't show the effort to box out when defensive rebounding. Huge concern for me. I just don't think he's a very good basketball player. I think he's, very good athlete. I'd like to see, what is he? He's about 6'11". If they put him at tight end in the NFL, he could find success, dog. And I think that might be a better role for him because I'm not sure the NBA is really going to work out for him. Reminds me a lot of Noah Vonleh, who people liked coming out. I hated Noah Vonleh, and I'm getting that kind of feeling from Marquese Kris. So not loving that at all. I give him a grade of 71, and I think that that might even be too high. We move on to number 17, or number 16. Where are we at? 16. Another sleeper of mine, shooting guard / small forward DeAndre Bembry out of St. Joseph. Now, biggest concern with him, can he be a three-point shooter? his 3-point percentage has went down every year. I think that's because he's had to be a little more voluminous than he should be. He was the best player at St. Joseph, so they needed him to carry the team. He had a little bit too much of a green light. I think in a reserved role, he could really offer some nice upside, nice length, nice athleticism, nice finishing ability, a guy that really offers defensively on ball and off ball a lot there. So I really like the upside in terms of role playing, and a low end starter here for DeAndre Bembry. I have him ranked higher than almost everybody, and I know I'm going to be right on this. We move on to 17. Power forward / center Henry Ellenson out of Marquette. My biggest problem with him, as opposed to Jakob Poeltl or Demontis Sabonis, he is skilled. I mean, he can, even more than Jakob. Jakob can't hit a 3. Neither can, I mean, Demontis Sabonis hit 35%, but Henry Ellenson, you know, he can step out and hit a 3 every now and then, but I think he's a little too slow. I don't think he's athletic enough to be on the NBA floor for a significant amount of minutes. I think he's going to be a liability in terms of being the center position, because right now he's 6'10", doesn't have great length at 6'10", and a guy that's, you can't really stay on the court more than 25 minutes per game, I think. So even though he offers some nice rebounding ability and some nice shot-making ability, I just don't think he's athletic enough or explosive enough to find success at the next level, and he's not a very good defender right now. So I only had to give him a grade of 70. And that may even be too high. We move on to 18. We have some role players. All right, we are in the role-playing range. Although, the guys that I just talked about, anywhere from, really, anywhere from 79 to 70, you can be a role player. In fact, I reserve 75 to 79 for great bench players, and I reserve 70 to 74 for good bench players. So, you know, we were talking about role players already, but now we're really going to talk about role players. I think these guys are nothing more than role players. If you're starting these guys, you have a big problem. All right, you move on to number 18, Denzel Valentine. All right, I love his shot-making ability. High percentage from 3. Guy can rebound, guy can pass. Great. Offensively, he's great. Defensively, he's atrocious. I mean, the guy's an absolute liability, cannot be on the court probably more than 20 minutes per game just because he's so bad defensively, has some serious athletic issues defensively in terms of staying in front of guys, in terms of stealing the ball, in terms of blocking the ball, everything. He's not a good defender at all. And a little bit of a gunner mentality as well. Needs to be a little more willing to pass sometimes instead of shooting. He had to be the star at Michigan State offensively. Hopefully he can reserve down a little bit. But I like the upside as a potential 7th or 8th man off of the bench. We move on to 19, Furkan Korkmaz out of, where is he from? Turkey. And a guy that's very skinny, very frail. But man, this guy can make shots. In isolation, he can do some ISO pull-ups, can do some ISO dribbles, jab steps, Euro steps. I saw a bunch of that. Really skilled guy, but his defense is horrible. His frame is god-awful. He looks like a teenager. He looks like a 13-year-old boy out there in FIBA, you know, against other 13-year-old boys. So that was a concern for me. He just didn't look very big at all. I mean, guys are going to absolutely back this guy down and take him to lunch to eat. I mean, Dwayne Wade's going to put this guy in the post, and he's going to hurt his feelings. He's going to break his ribs, you know, so big issues there for me. And when is he going to come over? But I think he's very skilled. And as a role player, man, this guy can come off the bench, give you one hell of a surge, and then leave. And then take him out as soon as you have to, because I don't think you can ever give him more than 20 minutes per game. We move on to number 20. Skal Labissiere. That's right, all the way down to number 20 for a number of reasons. Number one, I don't like when I hear that John Calipari didn't want to play you. I don't like hearing that at all. That is not a good thing for me. If John Calipari doesn't trust you, how am I supposed to? He's a horrible defensive rebounder. He's pretty good on offensive boards, but defensive rebounding just can't find a body, can't block out a guy. His frame is a little bit too skinny right now at 216 pounds and 7 feet. He's going to have to put on some size. Rim protection, pretty good, but only within the charge zone, not outside of that, and not really good in terms of, he's good in terms of blocking, in terms of like a one-on-one situation, but in terms of guys that are about to drive. He doesn't really block a lot of point guards. You know, he's just always focused on his own guy. He needs to develop better awareness. Doesn't have a very good feel for the game right now, and I don't think he ever will. I think he's a role player. Someone may end up starting him, but man, that's a bad decision. I'm not a big Scal Labissiere fan at all. I gave him a grade of 66. Ouch. We move on to 21, shooting guard / small forward, Timothy Luwawu out of Megalex. And I'm not a big fan of him either. I'm sure you've seen him as high as probably 14, 13, or 12. Me, I'm not a fan, all right? So he's very lengthy, right? Long arms, shows some defensive upside. Definitely has some athletic upside in terms of driving and finishing at the rim. But I don't think he has a very good feel for the game at all right now. I don't think he was a very big volume shooter at Megalex. He wasn't a very good shooter either. I think he's really going to struggle when it comes to converting to that NBA talent because he really didn't do a good job against the talent that he faced in Megalex against those other guys over there. Yeah, just not a big fan. Maybe some role player potential there in terms of a guy that can come off the bench, dunk, and hit a three every now and then, and maybe offer some defense upside. But not a big fan. I give him also a grade of 66. We move on to 22. Damian Jones, also out of Vanderbilt. Never saw him. You think you'd see a 7-foot guy walking around campus. Never saw Damian Jones. I like Damian Jones. I think he's a good guy. I think he's a nice guy. A lot of upside here. So if someone takes him in the top 20, I won't hate too much. But the guy is just not a very good basketball player in terms of awareness on the court. He fouls too much. Perimeter defending is awful whenever you see point guards run pick and roll and he has to switch on the roll man or even just stay on the point guard. He's just not very good laterally. You know, really struggles on the perimeter. Pick and pop, he's a liability. It just really big struggles there. I mean, in terms of finishing at the rim, I mean, he's a pretty good job at that. I mean, the guy can dunk it down. Very athletic for his size. But I just don't think he's very skilled right now. In a class full of skilled centers, I'd rather take the skilled guys. Because, again, I think he's just one of those athletic guys that have just gotten away with being bigger than everyone else. And then once they actually face guys as big as them, they struggle. We move on to 23. A lot of people like this guy. I'm not a big fan. Shooting guard Malachi Richardson out of Syracuse. So, I mean, he has the same move, guys. It's just jab right, drive left. Or jab right, step back three. Jab right, step back three. Jab right, and then dribble in left. That's his move. That's his only move. He doesn't have many moves right now and needs to develop more moves. He was an inefficient scorer for Syracuse. The guy shot 37% field goal percentage this year. Guys, that's bad. So now you're expecting him after 1 year of college to come in and even contribute in the NBA? I don't know about that. I have him labeled as a contributor. I gave him a grade of 63. But, man, he just maybe can come in and shoot a three every now and then. But he'll contribute. But, man, I'm not a big fan of this guy at all. I don't know why people love Malachi Richardson. We move on to 24, DeJounte Murray out of Washington. So you love the length, right? He's a 6'5" point guard. But, man, this guy is rail thin. This guy's 170 pounds. I weigh 184 pounds, and man, I can beat this guy up because this guy's a skinny little cat, and I'm 6'1", by the way. He's 6'5", big problem there. I mean, in terms of playing on the field, a little bit too turnover prone for my eyes. Not a great shooter right now. Gets away with shooting mainly because of his length, but I think NBA point guards are getting longer, much longer. Like guys like D'Angelo Russell and Kris Dunn coming to the league every year. Emmanuel Mudiay with length. I mean, the average point guard in the NBA now is going to be 6'4". And just give me 2 years, it's going to be 6'4". Right now, I think it's already 6'2", maybe 6'2.5". So I don't think he's going to be able to get away with the length that he got away with in college in terms of hitting floaters, because that's his move. The guy hits floaters all day, every day, and that's fine. But I think you're going to have more troubles with that in the NBA. I don't think he's a very good basketball player. Maybe he has some upside and he'll improve. But as for right now, I only give him a grade of 62. Then we have the dark-skinned guys that can't play basketball. We have Cheick Diallo out of Kansas sitting at number 25. The guy just can't play basketball. I mean, he's a guy that can be an energy guy. He can get some blocks, can get some rebounds, but he's sitting at 6'9", 220 pounds. He has a 7'4" wingspan. You know who has this body outside of the weight? It's Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram's playing the 2 and the 3. Cheick Diallo has to be playing the 5 any moment he's on the court because he can't hit out shots consistently. Mid-range shows some potential, but he hasn't made enough of them yet for me to consider him a threat from that range. In terms of being outside and covering guys on the three-point line, doesn't really show good flexibility or lateral quickness. So I think that's going to be a big struggle for him. I like his motor, but man, I don't think he has a role at the next level. I give him a grade of 60, which was contributor, but I'm not sure he's ever really going to contribute. And then we sit at 26, we have Thon Maker out of Canada. All right, I wanted to see what everyone was talking about, and I think he's pretty awful. I think his feel for the game is horrible, and we're talking about in high school, man. The guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's out of control. Some people call him playmaker. I call him wild maker because this guy is wild any second. He has the ball. He's driving. He's knocking around. He's falling down. He's, reaching and fouling and falling. And I think this guy is everywhere. He's out of control. Anytime I see him, he's not good defensively. He's weak defensively even. In the post, people are going to back him down, take him to lunch, and eat him out. Because, man, this guy has struggles defensively, man. Big time issue. I mean, the only thing you hope, there's upside, right? He's in high school. He's 18. Great. He's going to have to develop his three-point shot. Maybe he can hit that consistently and then be an energy guy off the bench. But that is it. I have him as a bench warmer, man, because I don't like Thon Maker. I don't think he has a good feel for the game at all. You're telling me this is a basketball player? To me, it looks like you just now, yesterday, you found a guy from Sudan and you brought him in and you said play and he didn't know what he was doing. That's what he looks like out there, man. The guy looks lost. He looks screwed. He looks finished. I wouldn't take him. I don't think I'd take him until the second round. Someone's going to take him in the first probably, but I definitely wouldn't take him until the second round. I think there's better basketball players, and I hope to do more film and find more players. That way I can keep putting them over Thon Maker because I'm going to have a lot of players over Thon Maker by the time my big board is finished. So there you go. 26 players rated and ranked. Again, all of this information is in the description box below. If you disagree, feel free to tell me why in the comments below. And until next time,